Hello. So this is part 2 of horoscope of China. We have spoken briefly, probably briefly under 20 minutes or something like that, about the action that is going to take place in Chinese transit horoscope. So there is going to some action regarding China as a current country. And there might be some reconstruction of the existence of China as a nation and as a country in the years to come. So if you want to check it out, go back to part number 1. Secondly, I have, of course, like I've forgotten to tell you, if you wish, I will be doing consultation. If you want a horoscope, just contact me through the email that is available on the channel description. So you have to find it. And as I said before, I did mention it in one of the videos. If you're interested, if you're going to be first one, you're going to get a full analysis that I do for my customers for only 20 euros. That's the first person, the second person for 40, and the third person for 60 quid. And so if you want, I will do it for you. And most importantly, I do believe that going to astrologer every now and then is not a good idea. It's not maybe the best idea to know all of the events that are going to happen in your life. And what I am usually focusing on mostly is explaining where and what are your potentials and how to unlock them. Because technically speaking, this is the journey that we have here on Earth to find and work on the potentials that we were given or that we asked ourselves while coming here on Earth. So if you want, of course, I will get you such an analysis. And so let's get back to business, to the horoscope of China. And right now, we'll just briefly have a look at the Chinese horoscope again, or maybe even not, because we've spoken about that in the previous episodes. Let's have a look at the map of the world that we know today. So you can see this is the United States of America. I just intentionally put it in the very middle of the map. So you can see that there are massive water bodies around the United States, and technically speaking, United States is an island. An island because there is nothing between states and Europe and between states and Japan and China. Yeah? I marked here the most important sea passages. This one is most important for the United States, of course, especially for the Navy. So if they need more ships on the Pacific, they can transfer them easily without going around the South America. That would give another 2 weeks for them to arrive, and of course they would have to have all the supplies. Much more difficult, yeah. So that's why the Panama Canal was created. So that was the idea. That's why it is so important for the United States to be in control of Panama. I just have it from time to time, but I told you in the Panama video, if you want to check it out on my channel, do it, because in January, February, like late this year, early next year, Panama may experience some intense period as well. And I just thought to myself, because they played the card as I would, because there is immense pressure from the United States, they said, okay, we will stop working with the Chinese government and Chinese companies. We will give priority to the Americans. Because they obviously understand that the United States is a very powerful nation and very close to Panama. If Panama was somewhere else on the map, there wouldn't be a problem. So they agreed. But I think there might be some sort of a problem similar to what we've seen Suez Canal happened a couple of years ago. Just one ship is enough to block the passage for weeks or maybe months. And as far as I understand, the Panama Canal system, it's a big system, is not in the excellent condition. There might be some problems with this, with Panama Canal in 2026, late 2025, early 2026. So we'll see whether there is something interesting going on. So let's see, and let's have a look at the other circles that I marked here. So most of the trade in the world would not be going through Panama Canal, but through Bab-el-Mandeb and Strait, then Suez Canal. Some of that would go through Gibraltar passage, and then English Channel or La Manche, if the Channel La Manche or La Manche, called by the French. And these 2 points, Duke, that would be very important for military activity, because if you have control over these two regions that are called Duke, you block the Russian activity, Russian military going to the Atlantic, to the Atlantic, because it's very easy to mind the English Channel. You just need a couple of submarines and they will mine this passage. But this passage, you can see, is much wider, and that's why the Americans want Greenland to have control over this passage, so they could cut out Russians, if they wanted, from entering the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, let's get to another map, and this is the map with China in the center. So as you can see, China is, let's be honest, almost in the very middle. Kazakhstan will be maybe in the very middle of the body mass of the world. So most of the economic activity in the world would be happening here. Europe, China, India, here, these two regions, yeah. And the marked points are the straits, are the water passages that were used for ages to transport goods from China and from Europe to China. And they are very easy to block if you have military power to block. I think through Malacca Strait there is like 40 or 50% of the goods passing through every year of the world through this small area here. So if you have control over this small area, you can block it any day you want. I think 70% of oil production in the world goes through, that's Bab-el-Mandeb, that's, I have forgotten the name of this strait. And so for Iran, it's very easy to block all of the tankers from leaving the Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, Iraq, this oil-rich area, yeah? And under Bab-el-Mandeb here, Chinese, I think they control this strait with their military base in Djibouti, a tiny country. And then we have Egypt that controls the Suez Canal. And then we have both Spain and England that actually is controlling the Strait of Gibraltar. And we have France and United Kingdom controlling the English Channel. And of course, Duke is not really controlled by one nation at this stage, but that would be in the best of interest of United Kingdom and Iceland. I don't really think that they would be taking part in any type of serious military activity, but that would be states and United Kingdom. And Russia, on the other hand, that would need this passage to actively be minding or guarding the Atlantic Ocean, yeah? So I'm just showing that China, technically speaking, does not really need all these water passages that for ages were in control of the, let's say, English-speaking empires, and French and a bit of Spanish. What is going on right now in the world is that, as I said, these passages can be easily blocked. You just need 2 or 3 ships, a couple of guns, and you will stop all the trade in the world as the trade stopped in the Suez Canal. Everyone had to go around Africa. That adds another month to the voyage, probably, when you want to transport goods from China to Germany, for example. But as we have less and less ice in the north, another passage opens here around Russia and straight through North Pole. And the thing is that this passage is actually shorter than the red one. So this is only the weather and the climate that is stopping China from using this passage. And this passage has only, technically speaking, only one weak point, that would be here between States and Russia, but half of the passage is in control of the Russians, so they can clearly give green light for the Chinese industry to go ahead as soon as the ice is clear. So for the time being, I think that they can operate just a number of months per year when the Arctic Ocean is not completely frozen. They would have to use special ships for crushing the ice. But this passage might be fully operational soon, in let's say 10 or 20 years. And that would make difficult for the Western empires that were in control of these key points for last couple of 100 years, because UK was controlling the Suez Canal and probably still is through, let's say, financial sector. So they would be somehow in control of it, I'm quite sure. They still have Gibraltar in the tiny tip at the end of Spain, so they can block this passage whenever they want. And this road can change anything, everything. And once again, I have to have a simple fortune. And again, look at the United States from the point of view of our globe. It is an island. Even if you join Canada, Greenland, Mexico, that's an island in the middle of an ocean, both ways. China is in the middle, is a pumping heart of the economy of the world right now, as it used to be for like 5,000 years. Just the last 200 years were different. So, another map. China did not have too much interaction with India from a very simple reason. There's a massive mountain range dividing India and China. So that's why these cultures did not mix as much in history. On the other hand, Chinese culture did mix with Burman, Thai, Laos, Vietnam culture. Very much influence of Chinese as language in these nations. In some of the nations, grammar would be similar. In Vietnam, for example, they have a different language, but 60% of the vocabulary would be actually from Chinese. The same story with Japan and Korea, where China, after the ages, understood that expansion is finally needed, because before, and I will have to do something with the mic, probably you did not hear me properly, but we'll see if AI can fix it. Before that, Chinese empire understood that the only real development can be done within, so development within China. So they had the best shoes, the best China, the best paper, the best rockets for ages. No one else had it all over the world, and people were coming to China to buy it for gold, precious stones, and silver, or other goods that Chinese wouldn't have, but they had most of the goods that money can buy, yeah? Right now, China understands that they have to expand if they want to be the real middle kingdom of the earth, that they have to expand. Never mind who is against it, but Some of the plans are creating a massive railway under the Himalayan mountains. They even made plans to use, I think, nuclear power to drill, because that would be a massive project, but to join India and China as one big industrial giant with railway tracks under the Himalayan mountains. The Indian government is not in the best relationship with China, so this project I don't really think is going to happen anytime soon. The other part of this expansion project would be bridge from Russia to Japan, so sooner or later, not only Taiwan, but Japan would become a part of this massive Asian factory over everything, yeah? If there is passage for trains and cars that would be capable of driving from China to Japan straight without using any sort of maritime transport. And have a look at another map that I've just moved the globe a bit, so you can see China here in the middle, let's say, of Eurasian landmass. And it is said that Chairman Mao used to say about Europe, a small peninsula at the edge of Asia. So you can see how small Europe is comparing to the whole landmass of Asia. And what we are witnessing right now is a switch of most of the human activity from the West to the East-South, to the Asia, to China and India. And this is the ideal passage from China to Germany in Europe, the strongest factory in Europe. So if this passage opens one day, look, no wonder why Americans want to get Greenland. If they had a number of military bases here, they would be able to control this sea passage. That's why they badly want Greenland. But as I said, I don't really see Greenland becoming part of the United States, but they will try to make the highest bets with Denmark in this case, so they could get this military and economic activity as well. I think that mining is possible in Greenland, American mining activity plus military activity regarding Greenland as such, without Greenland leaving, without Greenland stopping being dominion of Denmark. And as you can see, Canada would be essential in this case for Americans as well, because if they had access to Canada, they would be there. It would be possible for them joining this North Sea Passage that hasn't been fully opened yet, because they have to go around the ice. We still have big ice cap here forming every year, so that's why there's so much pressure of American government to get their legs into this region. To mine the Duke, as I said before, that's for the Russian military activity on the Atlantic, and then again they would like to grasp Greenland to control this passage from Asia to Europe. And this is the map of the Pacific. So as you can see, it is like 1/3 of the globe. Here we have Mexico and United States, Canada, and China somewhere here. If there is any sort of friction between these two nations, it would not be Chinese Navy going to United States, it would be United States going to China. And that's like 15,000 kilometers away. So there's a tyranny of distance. If you have activity here, and at this time it would not be a small country like Vietnam or North Korea, that would be the opponent of the United States, but a serious nation with massive production capabilities, yeah? So it would be extremely difficult for the Americans to run such an offensive in Asia due to the distance. And as you can see on the other side of the globe, you have all of the landmass, most of the people of the world, and the years to come, I think, are going to be the detachment from the West of the East. At least they are going to try to do it, because technically speaking, we, the West, in a way, lived for years from their hard manual labor, not ours. And this is the other third of the globe. So you have North America and South America separated from the West, from the rest of the world by massive oceans, yeah? So this is the geography that we have to have in mind when we talk about the events that might happen according to astrology or not. These are the passages. You can see 15,000 kilometers here, and we have 13,000 kilometers if you were capable of going through the North Pole. So you can see the difference. And again, this is the massive distance that American Navy would have to take any action here regarding Taiwan, let's say. So some politicians say, and military experts say, that it is not possible to defend Taiwan. And this is the Belt and Road Initiative, yeah? So China, a couple of years ago, they came up with this idea that they would cover the whole world with fast Chinese trains. And the funnest, and I love this idea. I'd love to be able to get a train in Dublin and go to Tierra del Fuego in Argentina or Chile on a train without getting out from the train for, like, I don't know, in a week time. So the idea is to get the railway line from Tierra del Fuego in Chile all the way through the whole Latin America, states, Canada, Alaska, then build a bridge, or rather a massive tunnel between states and Russia through the Bering Strait, because it is possible to do it, and then run the line here to China, to the center of the world, the pumping heart of the ecosystem of the world. Then you would be able to switch the train and go to Europe, or maybe to the South Africa Cape. So this is the idea of the how massive that project would be, and how global trade would look. And the idea is that they would build trains, especially that would be going through from China to Europe and back. So the idea is to build trains that are 1,000 carriages long and 4 containers high. And they want them to go 350 kilometers an hour or faster. So technically speaking, if you order a computer mouse in China somewhere, you should be able to get it the next day delivery, straight from China to Europe on a train. So this is how massive these projects are, yeah? And this is the future of China. Is it going to happen or not? I don't know. We'll talk about that in part number 3. But right now, let's get back to the points over Canada that I've shown you and indicated on in one of the videos regarding the 1st of February. So you can go back to the videos of 1st of February predictions. And as I said, I see quite an interesting situation regarding Canada, because that conjunction was actually taking place when everyone in China was asleep. So I said that maybe they will not notice it too much. I am surprised that there wasn't much information regarding Russia coming out around that date, yeah. But we don't know what's going on with the situation in Ukraine. I'm not following the news, so if you can write it in the comments below, that would be brilliant. And the question is, was it the exact place that it happened in China or not? There isn't much in there. I did say that these points are going to affect United States as well, but in a way that they will take action and they will move forward. And I'm just moving, and I'm just looking. Yes, only one of this conjunction passed over Panama, but it did not have too much interaction, like we can see in Canada. And because there was so much interaction in Canada, you can see how unclear the situation in Canada is right now. And I think that Canadian government has no idea what to do. Unlike the government of Panama that said, okay, we surrender. We are not going to fight with such a powerful enemy. And they decided to turn the enemy into a very strong ally. And in their case, I probably would do exactly the same thing. So that's it. That's part number 2. I hope that you understand how the world looks from the Chinese point of view. And in part number 3, we'll talk about China as civilization. That's part number 3. Not too many predictions in this episode. Anyway, cut.